Guys, gals, and pals, welcome to Paint and Talk episode 7. As always, I hope you had an amazing 24 hour, like a good 24 hours since the last time I've seen you. I'll be honest. You know, yesterday I said I hope you had the best 24 hours ever, and that was a high bar. And good days happen 2 times in a row, just not really, you know what I mean? They kind of don't. So I'm gonna say you've had like an okay, like a good day, not like bad. Like I hope nothing bad happened, but I hope it was just like you went to bed like, you know what I mean? One of those. Myself, I had more or less that, so maybe I'm projecting. But either way, we're back today. As you can see, I've already done a SpongeBob shape on this canvas. I want to paint kind of, I don't know, this. I think this is like new for me. I can't think, maybe the first thing I ever did was kind of close to this, but I have an idea for something I want to paint today, and I'm already just preparing because I know it's not going to be good. Like I know I don't have the skill to execute this. I kind of want to do like a muddy swirl in like earth tones, like browns, blues, whatever that color is that kind of looks like clay in Minecraft, greens, you know, I want to do like some swirls in that in this shape. So I think it could be cool. Mainly though, the reason I want to do this is I want to practice some blending. I was looking at the like, I think it was in the second episode of Paint&Talk, the thing I made where it was like I was attempting to make a ball, and I realized like how cool it was, how well blended some of that was, and I was like, man, like if I just kind of keep blending, eventually something, it'll look interesting. So I'm gonna try that today. I'm just gonna see kind of what comes of that, and hopefully it's cool. I want to talk about, I do have a certain topic in mind today, which I've had a lot recently. That's not gonna be the norm, I don't think. Usually I think I'm gonna have a bunch of random dumb topics in mind. That's kind of the goal of this. But recently, for whatever reason, I've just had like very direct topics. Maybe it's because I'm starting, so I'm burning through all my mental steam right away, and then we can get to the dumb stuff very soon. You know, maybe that's what's happening here. Either way, though, I want to talk about AI today because it's something like, you know, I a couple days ago I talked about, man, was that a couple days ago now? That's crazy. I talked about cancel culture because I had like conflicting thoughts on it, and I thought this was a good way to like kind of get them out, almost like talk about them in a way where I could just explore and let kind of my brain go, you know, just ramble. And I kind of like this is gonna sound weird, but like it kind of helped. Like I felt like after I got done doing it, I was like, wow, I feel like I understand my own thoughts a little bit better now, because I had like just 30 minutes to just sit and think about it, you know? There's this David Foster Wallace interview where he says like people don't think about things for long periods of time anymore, and I was like, that's not me. And then he was like in the past you used to think about something for 30 minutes, and I was like, oh, I've never done that, but now I have, and it's kind of cool, you know? So we're gonna keep that going today, and I want to talk about AI because it's one of those things that really scares me, and I don't know what I should do with it, and like it might ruin the world or something. That's what I've gathered from you know, my research, I guess, on AI. I really haven't done all that much research, but from the very little I have done, I've gathered that this like could be really bad or it could be really good. I remember a little while ago I made a video on AI that's now down. I didn't like it. It was a very like intermediate video. It was the first video where I did the dual camera angles to improve watch time, which is something that I hate that I do because I don't really like how it looks, but it is kind of a way that I can improve watch time without turning my videos into a Mr. Beast video, you know? So it's gonna happen, but that's besides the point. While I was doing research for that video, it was, the original topic was, is AI art? And this happens sometimes where I start a video and it goes from being the original topic into a whole different direction. And this was one of those videos where I started with one idea, and by the end of it, it was just a whole other thing that it wasn't meant to be, but I was okay with it becoming that. And it ended up being like well, I titled it something weird. This is my problem, is it was a video where I tried too hard to make it appeal to, you know, like YouTube. You know what I mean? Like I tried to make it to YouTube, and in the process, it became not me. Which is why I hated it. It was inauthentic. Going back to honesty, which we were talking about, was that yesterday? I don't know. It was inauthentic, and it didn't feel good because of that. So that's why I ended up taking it down, because I made it very YouTube. I think it was something along the lines of like, there's an AI art heist going on right now, and no one's talking about it because AI steals art to generate images, right? And one of the reasons that video was so botched is because I over-researched for it, for sure. Because I'd never, like, AI is something that, especially in the last 2 years, like, as soon as 2023 hit, I feel like I started hearing about it everywhere. And it's something that is very important, for sure, and something that I never really looked into quite as much as I should have, you know what I mean? So I felt like I was only then getting like keyed into the whole AI thing happening, and like what it really meant. Because when AI first appeared, it was like, whoa, we have AI now, like it's like the movies. And then it was just ChatGPT, and it was like, oh, like it's just kind of like Google, but it'll talk to you, you know? That's kind of like all I got at first. So I never really looked into it because I was like, this isn't even that cool. Like this is like yeah, it's AI, but like talk to me when you have the cooler stuff. So I never really looked into like, how does this work? What's going on with this? Why is there so much conversation around this thing? You know? And hold on, my apologies. I gotta preface, if I'm looking at my watch, don't kill me. Not that you would try to. No one's ever tried to do that from me looking at my watch before. But I forgot to put the timer up. Usually I keep a stopwatch over there just so I can make sure that I'm not going terribly long. Today I don't have that. So if I'm looking at my watch, that's my bad. I don't have anywhere to be. I just don't want to go too long and have you guys sitting here for 40 minutes listening to me talk about nothing. Anyways, back on track here. So I looked into it for the first time, and it was like kind of shocking because I didn't realize just how much went into this. I didn't realize what OpenAI was. Like there's a whole lot of stuff in the AI world that like you're not privy to unless you look at it. Like it feels like when like something sort of controversial happens, you know, a company like Meta, like one of Mark Zuckerberg's companies, or a company that's just maybe even Amazon, especially like Elon's companies, I feel like they get a lot of publicity. Twitter, now that he owns it, has been getting, I feel like, more publicity about like internal things. OpenAI is not one of those companies because I think maybe it's because it's fresh. But there's a lot that goes into OpenAI that were really just like not getting publicized. So I always like when it first kind of quote unquote hit the scene, my interpretation of it early on was very much like OpenAI is this startup, right? I thought it was kind of like one of those startups, kind of like how like Facebook was, or PayPal, and I know those had their own like stories behind them too. But like I thought it was like a very grassroots, like some guys in a garage cracked this AI thing. And I don't know 100%, and I don't think this is something that I'll be able to know for a long time maybe. I don't know if that's by design. Like now companies will put out PR of like, oh, we started in our garage, and it's like, yeah, they started in their garage with like 10 million funding from an angel investor because their cousin is like the CEO of an already established company. You know, like a lot of the times you'll get stories like that. I don't know if they did that where they put out PR about themselves to make it seem like they were more authentic than they were, or if it was just my interpretation because I'm so used to Silicon Valley having startups as opposed to having like companies, you know? But OpenAI is essentially like a ring of people who like plotted this thing. And that sounds weird, but like, you know, like the conspiracies of like, oh, there's like a ring of people who run the world, you know, that are like super unfounded and just based on like sometimes anti-Semitism, sometimes just like other things. let me put it like this. Whenever something happens that people really don't understand, they blame it on a random ring of people running the world. That, I feel like this is like a very common thing. OpenAI starting, to me, seems like the closest thing to that in a long time. It was a bunch of Silicon Valley guys, Elon Musk, a bunch of those guys getting together and going like, we're going to start the AI company that cracks AI. And they put this guy, Sam Altman, at the head of it, who was basically like an already established figure in Silicon Valley. Like if Silicon Valley was like a country, Sam Altman was this guy kind of waiting to take power, from what I understand. And there are probably a lot of accounts of this I haven't read, I should preface, as I go through this discussion, because I don't know all of it. I'm not fully in the tech space. I know a lot of people in it, so I think like have like a semi-okay understanding of it, but I'm definitely not like the best to talk about this, but this is all context for like how I'm viewing AI. And basically, like, OpenAI was a very planned thing, right? It was no accident that ChatGPT came out of OpenAI. It wasn't. And OpenAI was made with the intention of being the company to do it. They knew they were going to do it. And when they did, I don't remember the exact document, but I want to say it was something that the CEO of OpenAI wrote to Congress, right? And it was essentially saying, like, AI is going to change everything. Get ready. True. Fine. But then he wrote these 3 demands for what needs to happen in order for OpenAI to like in order for the world to be cool under these new AI times, right? And those 3 things, I really totally should have gotten them before I did this, because it's important to get this kind of thing right, for sure. And this is something that I remember I really wanted to put in the video because I felt that it was important, but I couldn't find a space to do it and have it be natural, so I didn't. Basically, though, the gist of it was like, we're going to need to restructure society and redistribute all the money because no one's going to have to work anymore. He was basically saying we're going to reach a post-labor, post-scarcity kind of situation. And that's crazy. Not because I'm not inherently against the fact that AI can do this, that AI can replace human labor. I actually think that's quite a good thing because, we don't have to work anymore. That'd be awesome. It'd be awesome if we could be in some utopia where we're all on an island and, the AI is running everything for us and we're just kind of like hanging out, like in WALL-E, but without the pollution and the bad stuff. I've never actually seen WALL-E. I just know that something along those lines did occur, from what I understand, in WALL-E. So, like, I'm not inherently against that idea. But I am against it, like, right now, because we all know that's not the way that this is gonna go, Like, we all know that these companies aren't just gonna, like, be like, oh man, like, thank God we can just, have these robots do the work and pay the employees anyways. We know the government's not gonna institute any sort of, like way to make us all have a ton of money, barring even the conversation of if that kind of thing would work, you know what I mean? So, like, I remember that small part of the document completely blew my mind because it showed like, everyone said AI when it comes along is going to change the world, but this is the guy who developed it, or, who oversaw its development, going like, oh no, you're going to have to change everything for this. Like, our invention's really about to do that. And I think, I don't know, it felt dishonest to me because, like Sam Altman knows that's not going to happen. He knows the world's not going to go that direction. Like, that doesn't happen right now, if ever, that's, like, very... So for him to go, like, oh no, we're going to keep developing this thing like it's really good, but unless you change everything, like, this is going to really be bad for everyone, is horrifying. Because it almost validates all the worst concerns about AI in a way. And that's why I really didn't that's what I got set on my like kind of like journey that I'm still at of like thinking like, what am I supposed to do about this AI stuff? Because there's a real possibility this just fully changes the world in a way that's like gearing up to not be great, like not be the best. Mostly because, in some sort of utopian situation, yeah, it'd be awesome. But right now, what's going to happen is the companies are going to get hold of AI. They're going to use it to replace all the labor. And then they're not going to do anything except just get rid of all the people. And then I think we'd have no more, we wouldn't, like, the economy would collapse in on itself because no one has jobs. There's no money circulating. And I guess, I don't know, maybe there's the argument that like we'll find a solution once we get there. But just the thought that that's like not any sort of sci-fi scenario, but instead kind of a really realistic possibility is extremely scary. Especially because like it makes all of our futures just so uncertain. And you have the question, the more existential questions that come with that of like, why do anything if we're almost guaranteed to get replaced? Why would you try and get a good job? It's so sad. I'm dumb. I'm sitting in front of a canvas. I'm a graphic designer. I don't, it doesn't really, it doesn't matter to me. But like the guys out there, my friends who are, doctors or like in med school to become a doctor, what happens when they become a doctor and, 2 years into their career, they get replaced. And now it's like, man, all that. And like your life's purpose can no longer be fulfilled because it won't meet someone else's, profit line. All these scenarios that seem so science fiction-like are way too close for comfort, I think is the way I'd put this. And I don't know, like it's one of those things where I want to be like, I need to embrace it. Because historically, that's just what always has worked, When the camera first came out, people didn't embrace that. They said it was like the end of art and the end of people, and like it was too much technology. And yes, for sure, it's undeniable. A lot of portrait artists lost their jobs. But in the end, the people who embraced the camera are better off than the people who didn't, or were. I mean, none of them are still around. It was like 1800 or whatever. But now, though, we're in a scenario where this isn't just going to replace artists. This isn't going to replace painters who are barely around. This isn't going to replace, data entry interns. This isn't going to replace economists or whoever. This is going to replace all of those. Like, it has the capability to do that. And I think that's why I'm like more like, should we embrace this? There was also a really interesting thing I heard someone say that basically like they don't think that AI is going to get as far because the general public's going to be very mad about its development, and these companies will go bankrupt. And like, I don't know, I think I remember because it got the hopeful side of my brain being like, oh, maybe we can not have to worry about this thing anymore. But I don't know, as I say it out loud, that's kind of dumb, isn't it? The problem's not going to go away. So I don't know about that. But it's like, all I can do, I guess, is kind of just like stay on the path I'm on. I can't really do anything about the development of AI, let alone like how society is going to react to said development. So I guess like all I can do is like hope that it just goes in the right direction. And there's also like, I'm kind of in the camp of people that's like nothing really ever happens. Like, not totally. I think those people are kind of annoying, but like sometimes they're right. Like sometimes we make a way bigger deal of things and then like society kind of adjusts in a way that's like mostly okay, but I still do feel like we're getting to a point where things are happening, like so I don't know. I'm well aware that my perspective of like no real change ever occurs comes from me being a middle-class white kid in America. You know what I mean? If you're sitting in the Middle East, or, you know, even just in Eastern Europe, or anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere, you know something does happen. Just me being, you know, a kid in New York, of course it doesn't happen. So there's that. So I don't know. I think it's really tough. I think the other part of it that, like, the lighter part of this discussion here is very much that, like, AI is kind of bad right now. You know, like, it's really just not that good. I do try, because I was like, when a lot of this first started happening, I was like, okay, I really got to embrace this, right? So I started using it sometimes in my artistic kind of stuff, you know, whether that be videos, scripting, anything like that. I was like, let me see where there's areas where I can use this. And what I found is, like, usually it was just worse, you know? Like, usually, I've never tried this. Maybe I will one day just for fun. I'm sure eventually I'll get there where I feel like I could do this, you know, waste a day on this. But like if I were to go like, ChatGPT, tell me 10 ideas that are really great to ask my, or talk to the camera about during Paint and Talk that would lead to a 30-minute great discussion. It would give me 10 ideas that, like, really just aren't that good, you know? And that's, like, definitely a part of it, is, like, we're getting so hyped up about it where it's really not that good right now, but it will be in 2 years. Like, think of AI now versus 2 years ago. Imagine it 2 years from now, you know? So much is going to be so different in 2 years. So there's that element of things too, for sure. Like, it's one of those things where I think maybe my problem is that I'm trying to think of, you know, the question, quote, what to do about AI. And the answer might just be as simple as, you can do nothing about AI. Because, like, it's coming either way. No one's going to stop developing it. I remember a while ago, a bunch of artists signed a petition for like, to stop the development of artistic AIs that will do music and stuff like that. And honestly, the more I look into things, the more I'm like, they're the least concerned group right now. They don't have to worry quite as much at all. Because, you know, their position as artists will probably remain. It's going to be hard for AI to capture genuine human emotion, you know what I mean? So they're probably going to be much better off than a whole lot of people in this whole thing. Like, the people that should really be organizing and signing petitions are, like, everyone who does Excel spreadsheets. Like, if you do Excel spreadsheets, like, oh my god, like, try and smash the machines or whatever. Do, like, whatever those Luddite guys did, like, do that. Me and my brother had this joke where it was like everyone now has 2 jobs. You gotta do your normal job in the day and then fight AI at night to try and keep that normal job. And it's so true. You know, job security's never actually been real. Like, you cannot convince me that anyone's actually ever had job security, just because, like, you know, even when CEOs, the guys that are in charge of companies, even when something bad happens to them and they aren't around anymore, they get replaced within a day. So it's like, there's no such thing as job security. Don't even try and convince me, you know? But now it's like there's just pure job anti-security, like pure job attacks happening on all fronts. And that's, like, I think that's probably why it's so scary, you know? Because I just know the people in charge of all this stuff are gonna, like, totally sell out the rest of the population in favor of making more money off just using robots instead. And I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't think this grand sweeping robot shift is gonna happen, like, right away. I think it's gonna take a longer time than I'm saying, just because like the AI still costs so much money to run right now, I think, and so much energy, that I don't think it's very profitable to do it just yet. But soon it will be. Like, this isn't gonna be, I don't know, technology develops so fast now. And I saw this video about, they were saying, like, people are done with technology. Like, we're in an era where, like, people are kind of, like, over the technological development of the last 20 years. And what they want to do now is go and regress to a more traditional, like, connected sense. And I do think there is genuine evidence for this, actually. Like, if you look at, like dumb phones are a whole new industry, where I kind of want one, to be honest, where it's like these phones where you have no access to social media or anything, you can just call and text. It's basically a flip phone, just with one of those, like, ink displays that the Kindles have. Those are, like, getting bigger and bigger every year, and, like, I think that might be indicative of, like, at least there's a large portion of people who are like, no, I don't want all this technology. Like, we hit kind of a good point, and we need to start, like, figuring out more ways to go about using this. Because the biggest myth I think we all get told is that all development is good development, you know? And that's just not true. Like, that's not... All development is development. It's a very neutral thing. It can be used in good or bad directions. I don't think that, you know, growth and progress are not always the right answer. That one YouTuber, Horses, has the best quote in this one video, where he goes, like, if you burn down the forest, an entire forest, to build another factory, like, GDP will go up, or like some you know, one of those metrics that will skyrocket. But who would ever call that progress? You know what I mean? And it's so true. It's like, we say, like we love throwing out these grand, like logic, quote unquote logical, like, oh, you know, we could do this to better for everyone, but that comes at a huge cost. But we don't talk about the huge cost of what we're doing right now. That's a huge cost for everyone. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, you feel that cost in one way or another. And it's like, why is no one talking about that? Because this model of measuring everything by progress is clearly not working. I mean, look at like the US, for an example, right? We are, I think, the, like, richest country in the world. I think so. I don't know if China's passed us. They might have. If so, congratulations. I'm proud of you, Xi. But either way, whatchamacallit, you know, if we're number one in wealth, why are we, like, number 20 in everything else? Like, wouldn't logic dictate that, like, if you're the richest and if wealth is the metric of who's the best, of who's the biggest, shouldn't we also have the highest happiness rates, the best, like, the healthiest population? Shouldn't we live the longest? Like, clearly we've sacrificed something along the way for progress. And I don't know enough to, like, go into fully of what I think we've sacrificed for it. But it's like a pretty simple calculation that, like, something is going wrong. Like, the reason that we're getting told a lot, I feel like, especially, like, as of late, that, like, the reason, you know, the 80s were so good. And it's like, why were the 80s so good? And we're getting told a lot of things of, like, you know, the economy was better, XYZ. And I think some of those things are true, from what I understand. But I think a lot of it comes to the fact that, like, we've progressed and sacrificed something along the way, you know? Not to romanticize the past. I mean, the 80s were good, again, for people in suburbia, but if you were in the city, or even, you know, in the global south, they weren't good, you know? So I think, like, to kind of loop things back around to AI, you know, I think I've gone in a lot of directions here and trying to, like, kind of, you know, do one of those, like, pick it all up. I think kind of like what I'm saying here is progress is happening at a cost, right? And eventually things catch up with you. If I go get off here and go eat a McDonald's hamburger, I'm fine. It's a small cost. Maybe I'll feel, you know, a little tired after, a little lethargic, but, you know, I'll be fine. And then it feels good, like, it looks good, you know, it tastes good. But if I eat 10 McDonald's hamburgers over time, I'll get, like, fatter, or not 10, you need a lot more than that. If I make that a habit of every day I record one of these and eat a McDonald's hamburger, and I don't work out, you know, eventually I'll get fatter, I'll get, like, probably sadder too, you know, I think those things do connect. My life will go down even though I'm being fed in this cheap, efficient, great way of McDonald's, you know? And then eventually those things will catch up with me and I will pass away from heart disease. You know, this is an extreme example, but you understand the point of like sometimes progress happens. I'm aging. I'm, somewhat healthy. I'm living. I feel great every day eating my McDonald's hamburger. But eventually, because it's not healthy, it'll get worse and worse, and then one day it'll all catch up. And I think maybe what my fear is, I want to call it a thesis, but I'm not smart enough to have a thesis. I think maybe what my fear is like AI is that progress catching up. Like, some things have gotten worse because of this progress. It's awesome that I can do this right now, to have these cameras and all these things, and I get to post this and everyone gets to watch. That's really cool. That's really awesome. I consider that a plus of all this technology. But there's the other side of it, that if I was back in the 60s, 70s, 1920s learning how to paint where none of this existed, I'd probably be next to somebody painting right now. And I wouldn't say one of those things is better than the other, but clearly progress has already taken its toll in some ways. And I think that we might be at the end of like progress being, I think it might be about to take a lot of a toll with this AI stuff. And I wonder what the reaction to that's going to look like. Because from what I have read, like history-wise, I do like reading history books, and I feel like a lot of the times when something like this happens, when like progress does catch up, a lot of times the reaction's like a grand pushback, like when the Industrial Revolution happened, the Romantic Era happened, and like Luddites happened, mass organized labor movements happened, and like those were good things. Those were steps in the right direction. So for progress, if we do hit that tipping point that I'm scared of right now, of AI's like the nail in the coffin to make things real bad, what will the reaction be? Will we be able to fight back? Will we lie down and take it? Will we have a choice? Obviously it was much easier to go out and make a ruckus in 1800 than it is now. In many ways. In some ways it's easier now. Like, these are very different times. Will people see it as a problem? I feel like so often now I see people, whenever something happens that's directly against them, they're like, oh, well, too bad, so sad. Guess I got the short end of the stick today. Like, they're too okay with it, when it's like, sometimes we need a little more pushback, So I'm wondering what's going to happen. I don't know. When I started this talk today about the AI and stuff, I definitely wanted it to be a little more linear about how I think this might go. But there's so much there that I do apologize if this was a little more disjointed than it needed to be, maybe. But I think that's the core concern, is this the official step where we're going too far? And if so, what does that look like? Because I think on an economic front, we know what that looks like. But on a human front, what does that look like? Like us, do people take to the streets? Do they protest that? Do they go oh well, and just live their life? Is it extinction? I don't think it's extinction. That doesn't make much sense, but I mean, who's to say? I'm sure there are some people watching this maybe who are way more experienced in this field, maybe some tech guys, and if you are, please comment your thoughts on this, because I'd be interested from someone who's when I come at an issue like this, come at it wholly from the perspective of someone in the humanities. That's what I do. That's my thing. I love the humanities, I love philosophy, all that. And because of that, sometimes since I don't understand things, I look at them wrong, obviously, and whatchamacallit, I think this is one of those issues where it would be really beneficial to hear the perspective of someone who's more close to it, not that one of us is right or wrong, but as always, I'm sure it lies somewhere in the middle. Anyways, this is the painting. I think it ended up a little bit darker than I wanted it to, but I kind of think it looks cool. So either way, you guys know the drill. Go check out the Instagram where I'll write up a little blurb about this painting right here, and have it up without the filters, without all the noise and me talking and blabbing about AI over it and all those things. What to do today? Comment below. What do you think about all this? Like, I think I need more people's thoughts on this, and maybe I'll come back to this conversation, because this wasn't what I wanted it to be. This wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, just flat out. As far as like what I wanted, where I wanted to get with my own thoughts on AI. So comment below what you think, and maybe in a month, a week, a day, we'll come back to the AI conversation. So I'll see you in 24 hours, and until then, artificial that intelligence.